Announcement of the season and welcome to Enugu Kwenu on Afia TV. My name is Nathalie Uku. On today's show, we discuss development in Enugu 18 months on with reference to matters raised during the just concluded town hall with the Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mbah, last weekend. The engagement featured the scorecard of the Governor and interactions with panelists and Enugu residents from various sectors. You're welcome to Enugu Kwenu, and joining me today are Right Honorable Paul Najiofor, Special Advisor to the Enugu State Governor on Legislative Matters, and a former member of the 6th and 7th sessions of the Enugu State House of Assembly, as well as Dr. Obasi Chikezie, the Secretary of the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So it's really great that the both of you attended the town hall because you heard what the governor said firsthand. So let's start with your general assessment of this town hall. Let's start with you, Honorable.
Yes, thank you very much for having me this afternoon. The assessment of the town hall meeting held last week, Saturday, 14th day of December 2024, was engaging. It was very engaging, very robust, and the critical demonstration of the governor's commitment to fulfilling his campaign commitment during last year's presentation that periodically he will be doing town hall meeting with in the Enugu. So remember and recall that the first one was done on 23rd of April 2024. Then a few months after, just last week, the second one. And that last one was robust. Very, very fantastic because it strengthens the engagement the governor have with the citizens' charter, inclusivity, and to ensure that there's citizens' participation in governance. So I analyze that thing as very, very critical to sustaining good governance because many people bear their mind. Nobody was stopped from expressing his or her mind, whether as an individual, as a group. People said what they wanted to say and nobody stopped them, and the governor gave a sincere, on-the-spot answer to each one, and those ones, the answers he gave are verifiable. So I think everybody that came to that town hall meeting went home happy, went home fulfilled, went home satisfied, that now we got it right.
All right, Dr. Obasi, do you agree with Right Honorable Najiofor? Do you think that the town hall was this successful?
Yes, I must commend the state government. I must commend the state governor. And I must commend the audience on that very day, because if you really understand the audience, actually, many of us felt that when the time was, His Excellency had some delays, and the audience would actually leave. But I was surprised the audience stayed put to the end of that program. So I must commend the audience in the Enugu that actually stayed behind. And it was really, like Paul Najiofor said, it's engaging, and people actually asked questions. And I must remind you too that the town hall there, some of us went on to follow, the Twitter space the next day, which are the ones aired by your sister television, and it availed the opportunity, many people actually asking questions, from various parts of the world, not just Enugu. And I say it's engaging, I say it's good, and I wish that His Excellency keeps it on. Only disagree with him where he said that everybody was satisfied. I don't know the barometer he used in understand that everybody was
because he saw the joy on the faces of people. And some people were saying, thank God. If there were 1,000 people, 966 were happy. So are they not the people?
And it's not everybody. That's many of them.
No, they are everybody. They are not even a single person will be satisfied. People were happy.
Yeah, of course, I agree with you. Your job.
Joy and happiness.
I think you would rather say. You know why I said it? I always try to run away from the fact of telling leaders that they've done absolutely wonderfully well, so as to give them the room to improve. I believe that most people there that day was, we are happy about that. But if you say everybody, it means he doesn't have room to improve.
No, I have to reason to say everybody because this hasn't happened before. Issue of improvement is at one angle. Expression of delight that this kind of program can actually come on board is a different thing. For the first time since 1999, tell me where it has happened before, that a governor will stick to what he has promised. Even in the charter of the manifesto launched in 2022 at the Governor Peter University, that periodically he is going to engage with Enugu, and he kept it. People were happy on that angle. that he's kept his promise.
All right. Now, I think the best way to settle this debate is if we go into the critical sectors highlighted one after the other. And, you cited that people actually waited despite the delay. That means that people are actually eager to hear from their leadership. They want to hear what the governor has to say, and they also want to ask him questions about things that affect them. So let's begin with the water supply issue, because that is a critical part of his promise to Enugu. Remember, when he assumed office, he promised that he would deliver water to Enugu residents, especially in the capital, in 180 days. And yes, he did solve the perennial issue of water scarcity, but something generated murmur in the crowd, and that was when there was talk by the governor about meters being installed by the foreign company that wants to invest $100 million in this water supply project to ensure that water gets to the last mile. People were wondering, isn't this going to make things more expensive? Then the governor interjected and said that we are still going to own the production lines. We're still going to be the ones supplying this water, so it will not have much of an impact on cost. But of course, people are still apprehensive about it. But let's start from the very beginning. How well would you say that the governor has fared in the area of water supply? And, where we are right now, people have complaints about the water galleries, but he's still saying that it is still work in progress. You have to fix the reticulation problem first before you can continue to advance. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, I want to say that the issue of water has been drastically addressed, in the sense that before the emergence of the current governor and our leader, His Excellency, Dr. Peter Mbah, there was perennial problem of water in all parts of Enugu. Little percentage of water was supplied across the line. But he gave that promise that within 180 days, there will be a change. And within 180 days, under 151 days, the issue of the water was tackled head on. During that tackling of the issue, you discover that all the pipelines were laid bare. There were diggings here and there, and they discovered that most of the pipe uses many years before now, 20 years before now, 25 years before now, were rotten. Were not there. The connection were not there. They just dig and cover. And they had to change these pipes to a modern pipes. They have to do extension, reticulation, joining, capacity improvement. And in the course of this, a lot of things were discovered. And most of the places that do not have water before now have water. It's on credit to the government of Governor Peter Mbah that majority of the areas that do not have water before now have the water.
Can you name some of those areas that now have water?
Ababa, some part of Emene, Amechi, Kokam. These areas don't have water before. GRA is some part, like the lower Iba Valley, but now there's water there. The other part of Gulf Phase 2, water is there. Independence, there's some part, then the House of Assembly, water is there. Almost 65%, so that will be modest.
All right.
So it's an improvement. And in the course of this, let me also say that while they are doing this, let us changes came up what we did not even say before, both in the importation of materials, installing them, manual work, changing them to digitalizing them, new meters, new capacity training. And then the foreign direct investment came on board because government wants to ensure that every part of Enugu will have water before 4 years. All
right, Dr. Obasi, let's come to you. How do you feel about the progress made with the water supply issue in Enugu?
First of all, I think that word, I remember when you asked that question, the word that resonated in our mind was 180 days, and it will be like 100%, efficient delivery of water in every over 180 days. And I listened attentively when the governor explained, moving from 2 million liters of water to 120 million. And I'm actually saying that we have surpassed the daily production capacity of Enugu. I must tell you for sure, it's only a blind person that will say that the water supply or production hasn't actually improved. We've seen visible works, only that some of us might have actually believed that these works would have been integrated with the road construction. We had expected that some of the places they're constructing newly that they do not have water, supply, like lower part of where you have Igbo Ezichi. I saw where they were doing that a similar pattern would have been used. If you are constructing, water where there is no pipeline, road where there is no pipeline, you lay pipe immediately, so you don't come back breaking those places. But again, I must tell my honorable, co-discussant that the issue of 100%, water reticulation in Enugu is far from reality, I think. And His Excellency took time to explain the difficulties they got I remember I listened to a commissioner, I think Commissioner of Water, that says clearly that Enugu has about 60% reticulated in the old Enugu area, and that it's about 40% of Enugu doesn't have reticulation, which means they do not have pipes. There are so many urban areas that have been developed. So what I would say clearly is that those areas are yet to be captured. I'm pretty sure the over 1.5 million buildings, His Excellency talked about that very day, that these areas, they should capture it. But one thing is clear, there's no way you give construction of roads without construction of, service, like water. But because once you want to put water, you damage the road you provided. So I think that's the critical. Then the other one is, if I saw where they were actually excavating some asbestos pipeline, and then intermittently you see these asbestos, break and they excavate it, and they put them with ductile pipe. For me, I feel if a particular segment of the pipe had actually shown weakness, had actually shown inability to carry the pressure, the engineering mechanism should be aimed at removing the whole pipe, because sooner or later, the other ones that you didn't change may actually burst, and that creates, a whole lot of problems.
Yeah.
I think that's one issue that actually we tell, reticulating, showing, giving water to homes. And I would always say this. I think it will be critical. I would always say this clearly, that I'm not one of those that actually subscribe to water gallery. I do not subscribe to it. I believe that if you are living within Enugu metropolis and you are fetching water today, government should be able to make it available to everyone. Everybody should be able to buy water. Water is like a human right. Everybody should buy it.
All right.
And not encourage criminals. Not encourage criminals that actually go on to vandalize.
All right, go ahead.
Clear an impression. You remember I said 65%. I never said 100%.
Thank you.
I said 65% success. I cannot say 100% because the work is still going on. Are you aware that some part of Emene, some part of Agopa, some part of even Independence layout, the lines that supply water, people built on it. Now there's the challenges. If you demolish these houses, people will cry. And if you don't give them water. So you have to find a critical way of bypassing or finding a way to solve that problem. So that those who are not the ones that build those houses, even those who build, will be able to get water to survive. These are the challenges that came up in the course of reticulation and expansion, in the course of changing the lines and putting them. And remember that Enugu is so large, don't think that Enugu is small. So we want to appreciate the effort so far, and that's why the FDI, foreign direct investors, are coming in to ensure that they provide water.
All right.
Government do the production, monitor the thing, and just collect more money so that we have water.
All right. Let me now come in there. It is right, to also remember that when the road construction was going on, some of the pipes were also destroyed, even the ones that were just laid. So there was a time that these contractors had to be called for a meeting and told not to damage infrastructure while going ahead with the road construction. But we also have to take into consideration the promise that the governor made, that water will be supplied to Enugu in 180 days. And that was a key facet of his manifesto. Has the governor, or would you say that governor was not aware of the challenges to come when he made that promise? If you said you would get water to Metropolis in 180 days, but it didn't happen, would you say that at the time the governor made the promise, he was not aware of the challenges ahead?
I disagree with you that it didn't happen. I said they understand to be quoted, and it can be verified that within 151 days water ran. But it's not that it must be the whole of Enugu State 100% like
I stress the metropolis.
But
the metropolis.
The number of houses that got water during that 151 days were more than those who don't have before. They were more than 25%. And suddenly you have more than 65%. Is it not a plus? Within you as a human being, you commit yourself to something and you make sizable achievement within that. I think you should be giving kudos. You can't say that governance is not God. He's not God, he's a human being. He has the desire, he has the dream, he has the zeal to ensure that everybody has the water.
But in the
course of it, the water came and the percentage was high and it's still on.
But then one would also say that a promise is a promise. You make a promise and people want you to live up to that. Oh yes, he did. He did. But what people thought was that water will come into their homes, into their taps.
Did it enter into their market? Is it not their homes?
People were still buying water. They are still buying water right now. So we cannot, I don't know if we can say 65%.
And
I'm not sure that's accurate.
That within 180 days, nobody will buy water from tankers. There's no way governor said within 180 days, the whole tankers will go, nobody will look for water, you will have water. It said within 180 days, water will run.
As an Enugu resident, okay, let's come to you, Dr. Basi. As an Enugu resident, were your expectations met at the end of 180 days?
Anyway, let me answer the question this way. I'm a statistician. I must tell you that, and I'm biased to that. When I had 180 days, I know it was not going to be possible. For every home, if you look at that absolute figure, I must be frank here. If you tell me that serving pizza will be in 25 minutes when I come to your hotel, I take it as an average. The truth. Now, the average person on the street will not take it that way. He's not a statistician. He doesn't understand that. So the person will take it from absolute figure. But I would expect that what we get from the government is to tell us, okay, fine, we made some difficulties, why we are doing. Nobody is perfect. If you are perfect, we become God. And these challenges are among us. Like I must tell you, one of the challenges Chikun Najafo actually pointed out was the issue of people constructing buildings on
pipelines.
Pipelines, yes.
Let me tell you the truth. When I saw that, I laughed. I said that was not construction. In fact, if I'm His Excellency, I'll tell you the simple thing. You construct any infrastructure on a service lane because before you did that construction, there were already geomapping that shows that is a service lane. Many of those that constructed it know. If I must destroy it, you will pay. The money that we use in destroying it, you will pay.
Yes.
I wouldn't allow so that others will go removing their own.
Yeah,
so you don't tell me it's an impediment.
Yes.
So you are converting. If you constructed a house on top of a pipe-borne water, I will not make a decision of. I will calculate the number of blocks there and ask you to pay the money. Otherwise, I'll give you 7 days to remove it. So you don't block. And if you are damaged that infrastructure, you will pay.
One can also take it back to the issue of the town planning. Town planning has been a major concern in the Southeast, not just in Enugu. Town planning, adequate and effective town planning. And you can also attribute it to the idea of the master plan in Enugu State. How updated is the master plan? How aware are people of the master plan to even prevent them from building on pipelines? Because, you have to establish that these people did the wrong thing. But what led to that? How open were the policies in that regard prior to this administration? But now let's move away from water to the issue of tourism. And the focus for this is that of Okpara Square, the suspension of events at Okpara Square. Now, I'll quote what the governor said during the town hall, Governor Peter Mbah. He said, "What we seek to do here is to bring structure, to ensure that we are a very well-structured state, to ensure there is a location for government events, locations for social events, economic events, and others." He also announced plans to upgrade Okpara Square to optimum standards for government and security activities. So let's come to you, Dr. Basi. What do you think about his response to this question concerning why he suspended or why the government suspended events at Okpara Square?
I must tell you the truth. I will tell you, I am not really averse to, changing the location of where people should do their trade and investments. Like we saw at trade fairs, the Hell Week and so on that we actually cancelled. I always maintain that if you must have Okpara Square just opposite ICC, you must upgrade it. That's my own thinking about that. However, what I felt was that, so for some of them, government would have been able to produce an alternative. A good thing, I saw that those of the people that actually managed the event, they went to IMT. So what do I think? I think it's a revenue for government. I think His Excellency shouldn't actually leave at just asking to revamp Okpara Square. I think he should be able to look at if our empty field is good, they can actually put it in good shape. That becomes a point where people could come. Because those events, like you see the food meal, you see the hairdressing meal, it actually brings a lot of people. It actually brings tourism into the state. So I think it's one area you could actually upgrade Okpara Square, but at the same time create an alternative where these markets will go. And where people who actually come into Enugu will enjoy, the program. Therefore, I was able to attend the events that were shifted during that period, and I noted that difficulties those that actually planned the event had in actually organizing the place. So I think while they are upgrading the Okpara Square, they should look for an alternative for this workers.
All right. Would you like to comment on that, Honorable?
Well, what I want to say is that the government has the prerogative to determine what happens at Okpara Square because it is a government property. Having said that, the need for people to begin to have the consciousness to move away from Okpara Square to other locations has come up. Because why? The renovation that's going to take place in Okpara Square will need time. Security challenges, government programs, and most of this is clash. So the Enugu should not understand it that is affecting them. They should not understand it that is affecting them. They should understand it that is a way to improve social engagement in alternate venues and locations. And one thing we discovered is that if you go to other states, the way they use as a public space for that kind of exhibition or interaction like Oka, Abuja. You see, it's more beautiful, it's more advanced. And of course, His Excellency the Governor has assured that there will be an improvement.
All right, we still have to look at this. There's still another concern I would like to raise with reference to this suspension. But first, we'll go on a quick break. Enugu Kwenu returns shortly. Do stay with us. You're welcome back to Enugu Kwenu on Afia TV, and we're still assessing the just concluded town hall within the Enugu last weekend. And of course, I still have in my midst the Right Honorable Paul Najiofo, as well as Dr. Obase Chikezie. Right Honorable Paul Najiofo is a special advisor to the Enugu State Governor on legislative matters and former member of the Enugu State House of Assembly. And Dr. Obase is the Secretary Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, Enugu State, of course, and also a public health expert. So still on the issue of Okpara Square, very briefly, can we just look at how long it took for the government to come out and openly explain what led to this suspension? So much chaos, so much confusion, and people did not know the reason why. There were controversies. I mean, people had their thoughts, speculations, things that they heard, and then they only just got the actual clear answer at the town hall. There was not a clear answer before. There were so many speculations that people had. So your thoughts on the timeline?
Do you know that government is a system? Citizens think that the governor is a spirit or a magician. Most of these things you hear outside are rumors. Until the governor got the official information through a memo or a letter, then he knew that there are confusion surrounding the business of Okpara Square. That's why people are talking outside, they do this, they paid, they denied. And the Section 45 of the State Security Service Act and the governor's powers and rights gives the state government authority to cancel any program, whether paid for or not, at Okpara Square due to security reasons, due to prevailing reasons that may be above the understanding of some of us. So when that been done, until those people brought the matter up, and the governor intervened, and now told them, we are trying to upgrade Okpara Square, we are giving you alternative locations within the same Enugu, within the same city. And those people were happy that he did this explanation. Remember what he said at the government lodge. So all this time before then, he was not aware. And for those who did not ask, I'm not the one to go and say this is the reason. The government, the security services, the police, the army, they have their reasons. And for now, that place should be cleaned up, should be safe, should be kept like that until reorganized, except very important government programs. So, but the locations at IMT, Stadium, and some other points could be used so that tension, and it has come down.
All right, Dr. Basi, let's come to you now. Your thoughts on how long it took for this message to be passed, as well as the fact that some people might not really want to have their events anywhere else but at Okpara Square because of the nature of it, and now they are being sent out of it, of basically the centrality.
I disagree a little bit with the Honorable Najiofo. I believe that the business of government is supposed to be communicated effectively to the indigenous, the individuals or citizens within the system. Some of us who are privileged to getting better information understood clearly that, look, this was not in any way to enchant those people that were planning the event. However, just like you rightly pointed out, many do not know this. And I expected that when the governor actually communicated that effectively, it should have been made open. Every other member of the, and any other person that is involved, in disseminating this information should have made it widely publicized, because that's a plus for government. They are providing an alternative that they are going to make it better. People should be able to understand that, look, this is the aim, and then nobody should feel bad. And then it's just tiring a little while, that people will get a better alternative. I agree with him that if you improve something like the IMT field, that's a plus for the government, and that's a plus, for IMT. That's a plus to even showcase the institution. So I think, just like I said earlier, I will plead with government, if you are trying to upgrade Okpara Square, try and look into, IMT environment or any other place people will be gathering, so that to make it robust, to make it so beautiful, so that to attract, bigger events. We used to have very big events, in Okpara Square, and I can tell you, it's really big. So I think the upgrade should not be just at Okpara Square. No. It should be upgraded, I should go elsewhere. That we continue getting the tourism potential, the state will continue reaping from, what we used to get.
All right, so that the people or organizers do not feel like they're being sent out of Okpara Square to other less prestigious locations. But now let's also look at the land management and administration, which was also a concern that came up during the panel interview. The question was asked about the land disputes in Enugu State and how the Enugu State Geographic Information System would help tackle these land issues. We understand that Enugu, at some point, in fact, even now, there are still communities that are really upset about the way land is handled. They feel like they're being excluded from issues concerning their land. We even saw something similar in Abia State. Community protesting against the airport that was going to basically destroy their farms. And it wasn't much different from what we've seen in Enugu over time. Is it the new Enugu City? Is it the other debacle going on currently at the Centenary Axis? So many issues concerning land in Enugu, some more pronounced and some more profound than others. So let's come to you, Honorable. How do you think this NGs, because this was the answer the governor gave. He reminded us that NGs will be flagged off the following week, and it definitely was this week, like he said. How would the NGs actually tackle land disputes in Enugu? Was that the right answer to this question?
Yes, that's the right answer. Let me first of all remind you that this is innovative. The emergence and introduction of NGs, Enugu State Geographic Information System, has not happened before. And the intent and purpose of inaugurating that NGs is to put an end to land grabbing and speculation and community crisis around land allocation. Why? Because it's going to be systematized. It's not going to be manual any longer. Proper acquisition, proper engagement, proper takeover, and proper handover by communities affected will be done through NGs because it's digital approach. Not more human beings will be able to do this. And let me also tell you that part of the things NG will do at the first phase before acquiring any land and registering the system is to do community sensitization, education, and inclusiveness, where the people will be educated, regular town hall meeting, regular interface, regular interaction, for them to know that the Public Land Act of Nigeria and the Land Use Act of Enugu State 2017 as amended gives the government right and power to take over lands for public good. When they want to build university, it's public good. When they want to build hospitals, it's public good. They want to do roads, it's public good. So, where sometimes they give misunderstanding and crisis, where there's communication gap, and that's where suspicion will begin to come in. So, NGOs will handle all that. And governor is on top of the situation by bringing this in, there are experts who are good in managing this. And issue will come to an end soon.
All right. Now, we had an exclusive interview with the Honorable Commissioner for Lands and Urban Development on the morning show this morning, and he said that the master plan of Enugu State is being updated, and that process is being sped up to ensure effective functioning of NGs. I'd like to come to you, Dr. Bassi. Enugu State, the master plan has always been a concern. People are wondering how updated has this master plan been? But here we have NGs, and there are now concerns about the quality of data that people have, because the system would function solely based on data that is imputed into it. And as we know, the popular slogan, giggle, garbage in, garbage out. If the data is inaccurate, it would give out inaccurate data. That's how computers work. So how confident are you in the data that the NGs will be operating on, especially as we're seeing different categories of land in Enugu, land owned by communities, land owned by families, and land owned by individuals, so to speak, those who have purchased or lawfully purchased lands from either communities or families or the government?
First, I must say that, when you want to acquire land, and land disputes all over the world have been a perennial issue, especially where development is coming. The indigenous of each communities, be it in Nigeria, elsewhere, and worse in Igbo land, where we have little spaces, now we have fewer lands than actually we needed. It has been a very serious issue. What NGs most likely is going to do is to put these lands and who owns them, as of today, who owns them, and make it available so that at one touch you actually get it. So that if Natalia here wants to buy land, probably in Okunano, you can easily punch here and say, this land belongs to so-and-so person. But it does not remove that soft part of the problem, which is the communal crisis. You can input NGs that Natalia, has the land, and I still lay claim to that land. On trying to build that land, we might have some crisis. We have had cases where even government acquired lands, like we had in Lagos State, the one that what is referred to me, referred to Afogana. And Lagos State government actually revoked it. We saw Supreme Court went ahead to say, no, the revocation was wrong, because probably the revocation was tied, or any land acquisition was tied on a particular thing. It must have overriding public interest. So it doesn't really give absolute power to government to take in land, and that is where some communities will hinge. And you don't take away our land and give it to your friends or your families. It's already happening even to Minister of FCT right away. So what I would say here is very simple. Why end this is that the government should, as much as they could, to engage the people. There are people that felt that their land maybe have been taken over, they've not been well compensated. I love the way the governor said that any land actually taken over should be compensated. But I think the government should not just sit down and say, end this and solve all the problems. Because just like Riley pointed, end this is garbage in, garbage out. But the soft work, which is interfacing with the people, doing for places where they've not done environmental impact assessment, like you said in Umaya, you don't just get in and take somebody's land because you are government. If you've not done environmental impact and health assessment, you better do it and explain to the people, if you are going to be relocated, this is where you are going to be relocated. I heard when His Excellency said that some of the people that live in urban slums will be relocated. Yes, but it's not just because we remember there are rights that those people have, and I believe His Excellency would look detailed into those rights. And what am I trying to point out? Some of these so-called suburbs we have today, in 1980s and 70s, when people inhabited them, we have bushes. Now, because those people were living there, those places got expanded, and more people came in. We began to look at them as slums. Previously, they were not part of where we are looking at. So I believe that those people will not just be relocated, but they will be well remunerated. Psychologically, they will be placated that we are building a better place. All
right,
that's what I feel.
All right.
So engines may not really solve the soft part of the problem, but engines will help us to know that this land belongs to so A and this land is so B.
I like that you clearly, described it, but let's come to you, Honorable. Now, we're looking at a system, the culture, the tradition of Undibo, where some people believe that this land was passed on to them from their great-grandfathers to their grandfathers to their fathers, and now it belongs to them. The land that has been in the family lineage, let's say something that you've left for the heir to your throne, so to speak. And these people may or may not have documents. All they know is that this is their ancestral land. Eventually, they may have gone ahead to get authorization to build, if they eventually started to build, but they're not document from the Ministry of Lands. So you can see there's always this conflict of, which documents and rest, which I think NGs would solve. But what does this system mean for such people whose only claim to that land is the fact that it falls within their community and it was passed on to them from their, let's say, from their parents or grandparents?
First of all, let me tell you that the spirit and intent of NGs captures both orthodox, traditional, ancestral, and modern approaches to land acquisition. Because they know that human beings are involved in the issue of land. And constant engagement, constant liaison, and interface with the people will solve this problem. I'm telling you that no matter how serious anybody feels about the land my parents gave me, my family lineage, it's ancestral land. Once there's a stronger argument or better presentation that is for development that will cater for this generation and next generation, nobody will say no. And I'm telling you that the government has respect for human dignity and human rights. There's no way the governor or the NG's people or Minister of Land will go and carry people out by force. So those explanations will be there. And I'm telling you that in a few months, communities, individuals, groups will be able to be begged to come and collect our land to develop. Yes, because it's going to bring faster development. It will bring advancement to where they are. Some of those lands are left like that. Years, over 100 years, 200 years, nothing is happening. But once there's a development that will, like road is a very permanent generational development. Hospital, smart schools, where those people will be able to send their children to advance. In the smart school, be able to learn so many things. Keeping their land or advancing the education and status of those people is better. In the smart school, they are going to have artificial intelligence, virtual learning, augmented reality, virtual reality, robotics, and so many other things.
All right, Dr. Bassi, now do you think that these communities at some point in time will be saying, government, please come and take our land? Do you agree with Honorable?
It all depends on the development you want to bring to the land. If you are going to bring a development that would fast-track their own livelihood, they will. But if you do not want to bring that, or probably want to take, or they perceive you want to take their land by force, they will definitely reject it. Because, and I want to remind my Honorable, you know clearly there is a Supreme Court judgment that when somebody stays in a particular place for a number of years, live there, that person automatically is the owner of that land. And so it's not really that you must Even if you want to bring in something, there is this community conversation you will always, you want to engage. And then tell the person, look, I am taking away this land because of so and so thing, but I'm providing an alternative for you to live in so and so places. So it's that particular robust engagement is infinite. It is not finite that because you just said it's a less bundle. The person has a human right. And remember, if you are being displaced, it is the duty of government to find an alternative to you. Like I would say, government is for everybody, including for the criminal and for the good citizen. You must provide shelter, even those that have committed wrong, like prisoners, they are given shelter. Even those that are criminals, they are given food, they are given clothing. So definitely, those basic human rights must be given and sorted out. But I believe that if there's a robust engagement by government through a proper community, conversation, these lands will be given, provided that their interest is actually met.
All right, now let's quickly look at the issue of education. And, like the budget, it appeared to take up 33% of the town hall. It took up a large chunk of the town hall, so the governor has described his activities in the sector as radical, and there are plans to train 11,000 smart teachers for the smart schools. Yes. But what was most significant to me was the pledge that he made that come 2025, that there will be 17 smart secondary schools. Yes. That would now probably be constructed, or they'll start constructing it come next year, so that these students or these pupils do not leave the smart primary schools and then head into this shockwave as a result of, going into a substandard secondary school. So there's that continuity that people or students and pupils can look forward to at this point in time. So let me gain your thoughts, Honorable, on the idea of, having the 17 smart secondary schools come next year, at least the commencement of the construction of these schools.
It is a seamless continuation of the advancement in the educational sector introduced by the governor. Remember, there was nothing like smart school, smart green education before now. It got introduced because the governor discovered that our children must adapt to the trends of the future, must adapt to development, economy, developing generation and thinking in the world, artificial intelligence, a smart board, a different kind of environment. The smart teaching. Look at the teachers, those who pass through the training. They think differently now. Different things that they were not able to do.
But how can you say that, Honorable? Because even the governor himself said that one of the major risk factors has been actually getting these teachers trained, the smart teachers for the smart schools.
They've started.
So I know they've started, but how can we say now that they've come out and they're well refined and
yes, by the time they finish the training, they're going to remain the same.
But right now, as we speak,
they are going through the training.
Great.
They are going through the training. And my vision and my explanation is hinged on the final product, what they will come out to be when they finish the training. There's a lot of difference that will come out when they finish, because a lot of trainings, a lot of injection of new ideas, a lot of injection of modern technology in teaching, in learning will be exposed to them, and they will not be the teachers we know before. And those who are very old or out of it will be able to be relocated. Modern ones with modern ideas, modern status and style of teaching that are equipped to do that will be teaching further. And joining it to the secondary school is very ideal. Like I said, it's a seamless continuity. When you finish from primary school, those who graduated from primary should enter the secondary school to be able to advance further or improve on what they have learned. And that will make them a better Enugu people, better young people for ICT-driven technology. Remember, artificial intelligence is not common. Remember, virtual learning is not common. Mechatronics is not common. Virtual learning, augmented learning are not common. There are things you see in advanced countries. And by the time the secondary school students that move from the primary school, smart grade schools, Enugu will be number one, and a lot of different will happen. We will see the effect. We feel it in our rural areas and urban areas.
All right. Thank you so much for that analysis. Let's come to you, Dr. Obasi. How do you feel about the idea of 17 smart secondary schools next year? Do you think that this is still premature, seeing as we're still yet to see many of the smart schools become operational? Do you think that this is the right time for this? And while you respond to that, I would also like to gain your own thoughts on this, the curfew. Do you think that the curfew should actually be lifted, the 9 p.m. curfew ahead of the festive season? Because the governor did say that where your right ends is where another person's begins, right? So should this curfew be lifted? While you respond to the question on the smart secondary schools.
I must begin to say the issue of curfew has a lot to do with security. But I think the government should weigh the nightlife. Sometimes I come out at night as a medical doctor. You're going to a clinic at night. Around 9 p.m. you see Enugu is down. And I felt like, when are we going to see Enugu bubble again, 1 a.m., 2:30? In fact, I remember there was a day I was on duty, and by 2 a.m., I had to go along the Salah Road, to buy, what's it called? Those people that were doing, fast food. And I was so happy because you could see that nightlife was going on. And for some students, we are doing shifts, works at night. So I wish His Excellency would look into that. And if it's favorable, security-wise, to change the narrative, they could actually change that narrative. Now I feel there are some good tidings happening in security panel. So I wouldn't want to comment where I do not have the empirical data about security. That's one. But for smart schools, there's one thing I really want us to appreciate. Smart is something that is about the world today. For some of us who are not smart, we went to the blackboard, we are today smart. Somewhat, it's a culture. I don't want to see it as a culture. Many of the children today, even at the age of 2, 3, can actually, operate some smart gadgets. My child who is primary 5, primary 6, they can do coding. Now, what I think His Excellency will do, it's not like the government is just doing that. I think it should be all-inclusive. First, every primary school, every secondary school, be it private, be it commercial, they should all change their curriculum and go smart. Let me be frank here. By the time we had COVID, we discovered that so many of the private schools went smart. Many of them became visual learners. To today, my son who's going to SS3, JS3 and SS3, they are doing a lot of learning online. They have their online teaching. So I think these are issues that government should begin to look into. Now, for the teachers, I don't think any teacher will be left behind. Teaching is a continuing program. Like I said, those that are old, that cannot actually get it up, we don't throw them away. Because what are they going to do?
Exactly.
So nobody will. No, it's an exclusive thing that says nobody will not meet up. Why do I say so? My mom was born in 1952. Before she died, she was smart. She was able to do a few things. She was never born into a smart world. So it's a culture, something that will continue doing. So I believe that government should, as a means of, doing things, make it that every other child, every other school should go e-learning, should go anything about smart, and these things are things that we must do. So it's not like government is just building 246 prototype schools and ends there, no. Or building 17, 17
smart secondary schools.
And it ends there, no. Every school, gradually, every teacher, every mechanism we use in training them, including giving them pan-top, tablets, and so on, to bring about what you want them
All
to
right.
do. They can actually do.
All right. Now, before we round this up, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
246 is 265.
26. Yeah, that happens.
Not 246, 265
Yes.
smart green primary schools.
All right,
And
that
17
happens.
proposed smart secondary schools.
Yeah, that happens
With furnishing
sometimes. Great.
And every other thing.
All right, now it's great that you're also here because you can also represent the people of Enugu in terms of representation at the town hall. How? Because there have been concerns. I remember I did post a photo and somebody asked, who are you referring to when you say residents and stakeholders? So let's hear from you now as an independent observer right there at the town hall. How represented would you say the different groups and residents were at the town hall last Saturday?
I'll tell you fine, because most of the people that came there were people that were registered, trade union and so on. So definitely from all walks of life, I take my time to look at the list. When they were at the gate, I looked at the list. I found that virtually people were represented, but they came in. But the one that I think was equally very engaging was the one that what happened on Twitter. For Twitter Space,
formerly X Space, formerly Twitter.
Unfortunately, Twitter has not left us. So for me, for those that if you look at the people that actually came on, on that X Space, I felt like, can this be endless? Because there are people both within the state and outside of the state actually contributed. And I feel because of the time constraint on, the physical forum, you might have some difficulty. So I would say, people came in there and then going a step forward, going to space was a good idea. And I expect that this engagement will be more frequent. But meanwhile, I would want His Excellency to do a media engagement. What do I mean by media engagement? Media engagement is different from engaging the citizens. Media engagement is where critical questions are raised. Some of these questions may not come to the purview of people that His Excellency will come. It's a policy-driven vision. So the media men will sit down and raise critical questions, and those questions will be more informative, will be more critical, because a lot of media people get direct information feedback from the populace when they are on air. So I think if the pressmen, those that are handling the press, would actually organize, even if it's bi-monthly media engagement, media engagement for His Excellency, that would be more pivotal. And from those media engagement, you take out, something like focus group discussions, arguments, brainstorming, and things that you take back, to run policy of government.
All right, thank you so much. Now, let's come to you, Honorable. What will be your final thoughts as we wrap up this edition of the show? Your final thoughts concerning Enugu come 2025 versus 18 months.
Yes, my final thought is for the people to continue to believe in the policy of government and to trust the governor that means well. Positive, disruptive innovation is what has come to stay. Business unusual approach to governance. So my final thought that they should trust that all the promises government made, both before the campaign in the manifesto, blueprint for governance, and the ones that are coming out as policy directive, they will come to reality. The roads, look at the New Haven Junction, has not happened before. Look at the 141 roads promised the second phase. Look at the 20 roads. Look at everywhere. Look at Smart School 265. They are all going on simultaneously. Look at the housing. Look at type 3 hospitals. Look at human development trainings everywhere. So my final take is that Enugu people should know that Governor Mbah means business and has come to serve them well. And we all have a duty to participate as citizens in this government. We should co-own the government, not say it's their own. It's all of us that belong and own it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Obasi, any final words?
Yes, I thank His Excellency, for using empirical data during his analysis. I thank him for, rolling out data. But I think the efficiency unit of the government should come up with the data. He said he wants a zero head count on poverty. We said one of the mechanisms is the way, you bring out, you educate our children. At the last count, I know that Enugu State produced close to 50 to 60,000 people into job. People that pass through primary and secondary school every year. And I think on that note, I believe that the next town hall meeting will be having, the state was able to create a substantial number of jobs over the years so that we are bridging the poverty we have in Enugu State. The number of employed, not people that are employed directly into government, that's not what I'm talking about, but opportunities that so we track those that have been employed, we track the efficiency of whatever we are doing, and say this amount of money was committed into the government, and this amount of productivity output was what we got, and we expect that this will go. So some of us will be more glad seeing that.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us on Enugu Kwenu today. Right Honorable Paul Nnajiafor, Special Advisor to the Enugu State Governor on Legislative Matters and former member of the Enugu State House of Assembly, as well as Dr. Obasi Chikezie, Secretary, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, Enugu State, and a public health expert. And thank you for being a part of Enugu Kwenu today. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section under this stream on Afia News on YouTube at Afia News. Let us know your thoughts, let us know your concerns, your questions, and who knows, you may just be the one that will give us the topic for next week's discussion. I've been your host as always. Stay tuned to Afia TV for Afia TV Official at 5:30 p.m. and of course, the Eastern Eye with Alex Obodo at 7 p.m. and Nka at 8 p.m. Bye for now.